Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June 17th meeting of the Hyde Park Planning Board. Let me first note that this meeting is conducted as authorized by Executive Order 202.38 by Governor Andrew Cuomo of the state of New York. Let me also now confirm that each board member is alone and not subject to some sort of duress. Ms. Wasser?
I'm alone.
Vice Chair Dexter? Ms. Weiser?
I'm alone.
Mr. Oliver?
I am alone.
Mr. Pickett?
I am alone.
That concludes it. Please now join me in saluting the American flag. Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is a new public hearing for Riverview re-subdivision. The applicant is seeking approval for a one-lot subdivision of an already subdivided lot. Mr. Andros should be joining us in a moment. In the meantime, may I get a motion from Ms. Weiser to open the public hearing?
So moved.
And a second from Mr. Pickett?
Seconded.
Ms. You know what? Can we try just all saying aye by raising the hand tonight? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Got it. Okay. Welcome, Mr. Andros.
Good evening.
Is this your first public Zoom meeting?
No, actually it isn't. I had a ZBA meeting that I attended virtually.
I hope your experience will be just as pleasant, or maybe even more pleasant, put it that way.
Perhaps more.
I gave a very brief summary of what you're proposing. To anybody who's watching us via Zoom or on YouTube, this has been the subject of an extensive analysis by the planning board, and it's actually a very simple subdivision on paper. Mr. Andros is creating a single lot. I will note that we had a letter today from neighbors, Jack and Donna Dworak, that everyone from the board has had a chance to review, I know, so I'm not going to read it into the record. But essentially, they objected, and their objections were possible impacts to the view shed. It's there now, but that's over private land, as I'll point out. So what I want to say in advance is that, as I've explained to several people over the last year, Mr. Andros has the right to build that house there right now without creating a lot. He has the density that would be allowed to do so. In advance of this process, we requested that he contact the Department of Health or Behavioral and Community Health in the county to make sure that it's a buildable lot. That has been demonstrated already. It'll be conditioned that he gets that approval in hand. But in essence, he's not proposing a house at this point. It's just a subdivision of land to create a lot. If he wants to pull a building permit to create a structure, then that will involve site plan review, which is required in this area because it's a a scenic area of statewide significance. So this is only on a subdivision right now, and impacts to any kind of visual corridor would not be considered by the subdivision because there's no telling what he could build something low and flat, two-story, whatever. So we'd have to wait until we have the specifics. So let me turn it over to you, Mr. Andros. What else would you like to say about this project?
Well, it's basically a split off of a little over half an acre from the parent parcel, lot 1 of a former subdivision. And I don't know how much I can add to what the chairman has said, except that I have gotten the approval for the water service from the Dutchess County Water and Wastewater Authority, so there's an adequate water supply. Also approval of a driveway entrance from the Dutchess County Department of Public Works, pretty much at the location where some of the sketch plans showed a driveway coming off of County Route 41, which, by the way, is River Road. If you read the Dvorak's letter, they in error refer to it as West Market Street. This is River Road down through here. that's about it. My intention is to market the lot. As the chairman stated, whenever there's going to be a proposed use on the lot, it's subject, because it's in a SAS, it's subject to site plan approval, which hopefully, when the time comes for that, the board will see its way clear to issue a waiver of that site plan approval requirement. But that's all a function of what's going to be proposed. So I think that's about it.
That's very well stated, Mr. Andros. It would be a function of what's proposed. I also should add that in the Dworak's letter, they also noted with photos that there have been several flooding issues over the years in this general vicinity. But again, that would be subject to site plan review because there would be grading and fill probably necessary before a building or structure could be brought in. And again, there you go. There's the letter. Thank you, Councilman Krupnik, our director.
Yeah, so those are good photographs. And I didn't want to really get into this, but since everybody out there in TV land is going to see this, I would just like to point out that had the Dvoraks not included the photographs, their narrative might have slipped by and been embraced by the reader. However, the photographs and the narrative are mutually exclusive. One does not describe the other. And since pictures are worth 1,000 words, maybe I can just point out a couple of things that they say in that last paragraph, next to the last paragraph, which are totally in error. If we go back to the very first photograph, if we slide that, good. They speak to the issue of flooding, and you have to understand that, well, I think I know where the photographs were taken from. Usually when somebody submits photographs, they have a location map. I'm sure the planning board has seen that many times, showing the location, the date, time of day, who took the photograph. We don't know about that, but suffice it to say that their description is not accurate. Let's see, photo label number 1, proximity of the flooding to the road. Yeah, I've got a copy of the letter in front of me, so I can see it. If you get back to the photograph, what road are we talking about? I think, but I'm not sure, that the road is River Road. If you just scroll that photograph up a little bit more, I think we'll be able to see River Road. There
You can see it
coming
now.
in now. Coming
Yep,
in now.
it's at the base.
All right, that's it right there. Now, the photograph would kind of indicate that, wow, the flooding is pretty close to River Road. The problem is, what you don't see is the rest of the lot. Okay, there's a lot of land on the other side of the edge of the grass area. And so the flooding really isn't very much near River Road from the standpoint of horizontal location, or most importantly, vertical location. Let me just point out to you that this was during Irene. And Irene was probably the most devastating storm that I've ever seen on this piece of property. However, if you look at the subdivision map and you look at the railroad tracks, you'll see that on the subdivision map there's a FEMA base flood elevation line, 100-year flood. And the water, edge of the water near the railroad tracks, but not, it's still on the Hyde Park landing property, because the fence really is the demarcation generally of that property. You'll see that it doesn't even quite make it, and it really didn't make it to the base flood elevation shown on the subdivision map, which is a FEMA determination. And of course, everything's all tied in. And then they do say that on several occasions, approximately 1/3 of the proposed Lot 1A was underwater. There's really no documentation that they've submitted along with this, which would substantiate their statement of approximately 1/3. If you look at the subdivision map now, you'll see that Lot 1A, where the base flood elevation is shown, that FEMA 100-year flood, you'll see that it's much less than 1/3 of the lot. Finally, if we take a look at the next photograph, this one's even better. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Now, understand that you've got those two townhouse buildings in the foreground and their garages. And then we have River Road. And then we have kind of a dark line, and that's the grass on Lot 1A. And then there's kind of a squiggly dark line. There's some water, and then there's a squiggly dark line. And then there's a really very well formed dark line running horizontally between the two buildings. Now, that very first squiggly line is debris, compliments of the federal government, National Park Service. Debris field was incredible. Whole trees, roots, everything else had to be taken out. It was a major job to clean up after that. But remember, that wasn't even high as the base flood elevation from FEMA. The big dark line, anybody that's been down there, not this year because of COVID-19, the big dark line that's behind that squiggly line of debris are the docks on the inside of the inlet on the east side of the river. But let's keep going. You see all the white stuff in the water? That's all just froth and spume that coming down the Crum Elbow Creek and into the river. But then past that, we have another dark line, and that's land. And then we have the roadway between the land and the fence line, which is on the east side of the railroad tracks. So what you have here is a misinterpretation of the photograph. The Dvoraks would have you believe that this was a calamity, and indeed it was, but not because of high water. Finally, I just want to point out that they speak to, where is it? Oh yeah, Superstorm Sandy. Superstorm Sandy, they didn't really have any photographs to show that one because high tide and the high water from Superstorm Sandy occurred about 1:30 in the morning. Kind of dark for taking photographs. I was down at the marina, however, so I know how high the water got. Never saw it that high in my life, and I will say none of the marina buildings were in peril because of it. And you know where the marina buildings are. You should anyway. They're all shown on the subdivision map. So this portrayal of the dire situation was not really accurate. I just wanted to point that out. You can see on the subdivision map that base flood elevation for FEMA goes all the way over to the railroad tracks, past the property line for Lot 1, and in the photograph you'll note that that wasn't the case at all. Never even reached there. And if you were to go down and take a look, there's quite a bit of difference in elevation. It was the flow of water and the debris that really caused a problem. So that's that. Oh, one other thing. To the point in their letter, they say, in a letter to the planning board dated 2/20/2020, Dutchess County Supervising Public Health Engineer Lee Felshen says, Plan submissions have been made to the department for review. However, no approval from this department has been granted. Now, it's the old deal of, you take a quote and you run with it. If you read the rest of the letter, you'll see that any of the changes that they were requiring were, by Mr. Felshen's language, minor in nature. And since that time, that was in February, the health department has gotten to a point where they're ready to approve the septic plan for this particular lot as soon as the subdivision is approved. So we're on kind of a catch-22 situation. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Andros, for that explanation. Let me go to the consultants and start with, I should also note that you gave us a new submission which cleaned up prior submissions, so some conditions that would be potentially attached to the approval have already been met. Ms. Axelson, comments? You need to unmute yourself first, Liz. Unmute yourself, Liz.
Working on it.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. So I don't have any new comments since my April 9, 2020 review memorandum. As per discussion with the board, I prepared a short environmental assessment form part 2 and 3 in anticipation of possible seeker action. And the one thing that I want to say about the flood zone is that it's been shown, the base flood elevation has been shown on the subdivision plan from early in the project review. And I'm thrilled to say that Hyde Park updated their flood damage prevention regulations, I think as recently as
2014.
2014.
Yep.
Okay. But in any case, they look up to date. I wish Catskill communities would do that. So I don't have any concerns. When I looked at the photographs, the first thing I thought is, I can't tell where the photograph's taken from. So I didn't do anything with them. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Moss, comments? Ms. Polidoro, comments?
Some things that we have spoken about previously. There will be a rec fee that's required for one new lot. The project does require a utility easement, and we were still recommending that a note be added stating that the owner shall consult with New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation prior to any disturbance on Lot 1A. That would just be a note on the plans. Tonight, we have a resolution prepared for the board to consider adopting a determination of significance.
And I will note again for the board notification that with subdivision, we are required to conclude seeker before closing a public hearing. It's a little bit unique, unlike site plan. So we have the resolution prepared. Let me start now with the board. Ms. Weiser, comments?
And yeah, so I have no comments.
Thank you. Ms. Wasser?
No comments.
Mr. Pickett?
No comment.
Vice Chair Dexter?
Nothing to add.
Mr. Oliver?
No new comments.
And I have no comments either. Did Councilman Krupnick, is somehow someone else waiting inside the waiting room to speak?
Nobody is waiting to speak.
Thank you. May I assume that we have no one waiting for any of the applications?
You assume correctly.
Thank you. Then I believe that Mr. Oliver has the resolution for, first, has everyone had a chance to review parts 2 and 3 prepared by Ms. Axelson? You can just nod. Thank you. Then Chris, I believe this is your resolution?
Yes. Resolution to adopt a determination of significance, negative declaration, Riverview subdivision, resolution number 2017-11B. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby determines that the project as proposed will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared.
Second, Ann Dexter.
Thank you. Can everyone just raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions or nays? No, there are none. Passes unanimously. May I get a motion, or let me rephrase that. Mr. Pickett, can you please move to close the public hearing with the proviso of allowing written comments for 10 additional days?
I close the public hearing with a provision.
Thank you.
Motion to close the public hearing.
As a motion to close the public hearing, yes.
I second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. I thought this might be easier than making Cynthia call the roll each time. Make it move a little bit faster. Mr. Andros, we will schedule you for the July 1st meeting. That's 10 days, allows 10 days for written comment to consider final approval.
All right, that's fine. I have a question.
Yes.
So are you going to require me to respond to these comments, any ones that you receive, like the Dvorak tome?
No, I believe you already responded tonight.
But what about
Effectively?
additional ones? We got an additional 10 days, right, to wait?
Let's wait and see what the nature of the comments are.
Good call.
It may be that I'll respond to them.
Okay. All right, fine. Well, just, keep me posted.
Oh, if we receive any, they'll be forwarded to you immediately.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Very
you and
good.
have a nice night. We'll
All
see
right.
you at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is HUTCHINS Staatsburg storage. The applicants are seeking approval to add more storage units to an already existing location at 4920 Albany Post Road. I believe Stephanie will move us to open the public hearing.
Yes, I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Mr. Oliver, a second.
Second, Chris Oliver.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's like being in first grade. Thank you. The public hearing is open. So this is another application that we've extensively reviewed. Mr. Hutchins and Mr. Turner have been gracious in every step of the way in accommodating planning board requests. The most recent, remember, plan set we have is not the most what we're probably going to be approving or considering for approval. Mr. Turner is going to make some changes to it based on setting a couple of buildings further back. Mr. Sotero responded to the CAC comments about stormwater. This will be, all stormwater will be going into a DEC approved bioretention pond that's still there. In addition, because there's so much surface rock, there won't really be any increase to stormwater runoff by adding the buildings. This is not a unique site in Hyde Park, but it's a typical site that has a lot of rock and already has a lot of water runoff. So let me first start with let me start that over again. Sorry, Mr. Turner, would you like to add anything?
Unmute.
You're muted still, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. No, there's no additional comments or anything that I need to add to the information that we had submitted and provided to you at the last meeting.
Thank you. So let me start with Ms. Weiser. Any comments, additional comments?
I have no additional comments.
Ms. Wasser?
No, but I do want to thank the applicant in their willingness to respond to our comments, mine in particular. And I'm very happy to see, that the building was pulled back further from Route 9. I thank you for your cooperation.
You're welcome.
Ms. Dexter?
Nothing additional.
Oliver?
No additional comments.
And Mr. Pickett?
No additional comments.
Then let me go to our consultants. Ms. Axelson, any additional comments?
No, our last set of comments was March 24/20, and we prepared a full environmental assessment form, parts 2 and 3 for the board's consideration and seeker review.
And Ms. Moss, comments?
No, no comments.
Ms. Polidoro?
No.
I don't have any other comments either. This project looks like it's going to move forward, and I'm delighted to hear that. So we do have a resolution prepared this evening. I believe Mr. Pickett is going to introduce it.
Yes. Resolution to adopt a determination of significance negative declaration. HUTCHINS Staatsburg Storage LLC, Resolution 2019-20A. Whereas. Now therefore be resolved that the planning board hereby determines that the project as proposed will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared.
Second, Ann Dexter.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Mr. Turner, we were waiting to talk to you. Would you like us to schedule this for our July 1st agenda or July 15th?
I would like you to be able to schedule us for the July 1st because we're looking to make changes and get them back to you first part of next week, if that's acceptable.
So board, technically the changes should have been submitted today at 4, or rather yesterday at 4, but I think we're all familiar with this project. So does that seem okay to you to get it in early next week? That'd give you about 12 or 10 days to review. Seems acceptable? Yes, everyone's nodding. Okie doke. Then first, make it a motion to close the public hearing for Mr. Oliver.
So moved.
Second, Stephanie
Wait,
Walker.
adjourn.
Oh, wait, we can't close it. This is
No.
adjourning. Adjourning. This is adjourning. Sorry, adjourning. We still have to receive the new information. Sorry.
We're like little rats trained to read.
Making a motion
to adjourn.
making a motion to adjourn to July 1st.
Motion to adjourn, moved Chris Oliver.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Second, Stephanie Wasser.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we'll see you guys on July 1st and look forward to wrapping this up.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Just so the applicants remember, once we close the hearing on July 1st, there will be a 10-day written comment period after. So it will be the meeting after that the board can vote.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the enclave at Hyde Park. A note, because we're opening the public hearings, but we've had no comment, I informed Mr. Casamento of LRC that he did not have to be here tonight, so we don't have a presentation. But again, we're doing an extension in which time they have to meet to start substantial construction, et cetera. So may I get a motion to open the public hearing for the extension of special use permit and site plan approval from Vice Chair Dexter?
So moved.
Second, Ann Weiser.
Thank you. All in favor? Raise hand,
Aye.
say aye.
Aye.
I don't believe there's any public.
Missed
there's no
Stephanie. There we go. Thank you.
There you go.
AD and AW.
I don't believe that there's any public comment for this. No member of the public has signed up and we received nothing in writing. So are there any comments from the board or from our consultants? There being none, in this case, I believe we're going to adjourn this to August 5th. Correct?
Yes.
So may I get a motion to adjourn to August 5th?
So moved.
Second, Ann Dexter.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. So the ZBA has to extend a variance as well, a density variance, which is what we're waiting for before we can take action. And they have to hold their meeting. They are setting the public hearing in June. Then they can approve, or rather they're having the public hearing in June, they can approve at their July meeting, which aligns us then to reopen and consider approval of the extension in August. The next application is a similar one. It's the solar farm. It's part of the overall enclave site plan and special use permit, but it's on its own lot. So it requires its own extension. And make it a motion from Mr. Pickett to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second,
from Mr.
Chris Oliver.
Thank you. All in favor, raise hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I believe in this instance, again, there is no public comment. No one signed up. We received no written comment. So do we have any comments from the board? Any comments from our consultants? Ms. Whitman, I'm going to ask a question of you. I know there's been too many solar farm emails going back and forth between all the ones we have out there right now. Do you recall where we are with the Enclave Solar Farm exactly?
Ted might be better to answer this. I believe they have their building permit. Is that correct, Ted?
I believe they've received it. I authorized it, and I believe they've received it. and they have an erosion sediment control permit in place. They began clearing trees. They did not clear them all. They have some earthwork to do, flattening out some mounds of soil before they can put the panels in, and hopefully they will go forward soon.
Thank you. That's nice to hear. So there being no public comment, may I get a motion to close the public hearing with the exception of the provision that we will allow written comments for 10 more days?
So moved, Chris Oliver.
Thank you.
Seconded, Brent Pickett.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by a sign of your raising your hand. Thank you. The motion carries unanimously as well. So what we'll do is put this on the schedule for our July 1st meeting to consider approval, which will allow 10 days to have elapsed during that time for written comment. The next item on the agenda is a site plan waiver as recommended by Ms. Moss. Yes. This is Emmy's Delights and Bites. We can welcome the Hortas into our meeting.
Hello.
Emily, we can't see you. If you can put the video on. Maybe we can't see you.
Now?
Not yet. It should be in your lower left corner.
Yes, I clicked on it. It was working before. I apologize.
That's okay. I wanted people to be able to see Hyde Park's youngest, newest business owner, if in case anybody's watching. So even though we can't see you, can you?
It is not allowing you to now. I apologize. I do not know why.
Okay. Can you describe? I mean, I could do it for you, but I'd rather, since you're here, have it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Can you describe the nature of your business?
Yeah, of course. So my business is all about promoting food allergy awareness, providing products that everybody can enjoy so no one feels left out. So everything will be made without the top 9 major allergens. It will be mostly a wholesale business in grab and go, serving salad, sandwiches, and light snacks, as well as a full dessert case with lots of chocolates.
Thank you. Ms. Horta has been Ms. Horta, by the way, is a graduate of the Culinary Institute here in Hyde Park. I'm very excited. I've had a chance to get to know her throughout this process and speaking to her. And I think I can speak on behalf of the board and all our residents to say we're delighted you chose Hyde Park to open your business. She's been operating a sort of storefront that had no retail component in the city of Poughkeepsie and elected to come back to Hyde Park. If you've noticed, the building where she's located, 4322 Albany Post Road. There's also there you go. Thank you, Mr. Krupnick. So if you've noticed, this building had sort of fallen into disrepair, disuse, we'll call it. And she and her parents have been really dressing it up. There's also a yellow former residence. This was a dentist's office. There's a yellow residence next to it that they've also spruced up. They removed a tree. And when they were first proposing what they were proposing to us, we were trying to make sure that there was safe ingress and egress, as well as an easy way to park. So I don't really have anything else to say other than we are excited that you're going to open up your business, particularly because we have phase 3 coming up next week, which means that there'll be limited indoor dining. And when Ms. Horta gave us an example of food, I want to point out that she did have avocado toast on her limited menu as well. And she also specializes in gluten-free desserts. You can order them for delivery. I think there might be a limited delivery area, but she'll also ship to large areas. Is that right, Emily?
Yes, I ship nationwide. Currently, because of the summer weather, I'm only shipping to 5 local states, but I normally ship nationwide. So,
anybody have any questions for Emily before we go to the resolution?
No,
any
just
comments?
welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Looking forward to it.
Thank
Me
you.
too. I particularly, it's a shame we don't have Hyde Park Elementary open. They could all go over and get desserts after school. Their parents. At any rate, I believe Ms. Weiser has this resolution.
I do. Emily Horta, Emmy's Delights and Bites, 4322 Albany Post Road, grid number 6065-04-888116, site plan waiver, Town Code Section 108-19.4C2, June 17th, 2020, Resolution number 2020-07/08. Whereas a site plan waiver has been made to the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board by Emily Horta, on May 28th, 2020 for opening a new business, Emmy Delights and Bites at 4322 Albany Post Road, with revised overlay site layout by Emily Horta dated June 4th, 2020. And whereas, therefore be it resolved that the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board hereby waives site plan requirement for the proposed changes as described in the waiver of site plan request. Be it further resolved that the zoning administrator has reviewed the sign permit application and finds it in compliance with the code requirements. The board has also reviewed the sign and recommends the zoning administrator issue the sign permit.
Second, Stephanie Wasser.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
For an aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Welcome, Emily. We can't wait to see you open your business. There's the sign.
Thank you.
When
That was my mom.
when will it open?
I'm hoping to be able to move in July because I currently am renting a kitchen, and then I plan on doing the grand opening by July 18th. So
Terrific.
I'll keep you all
That's
posted.
great.
Yay.
Yes.
I should note that Ms. Horta has been operating with a permit under the New York State Ag and Markets. She'll still be operating under that permit, which actually
Yes.
restricts the amount of seating she can have, which of course may not matter much right now because even when we reopen, there's not a lot of seating, but there will be limited seating inside. There's a menu, mostly grab and go, as Emily said, but there's also to order. And Emily, I wish you and your parents, I'm sorry we can't see you, but I wish you luck.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
And when you have an actual date, be sure and email me and I'll make sure that the invitation gets to all the planning board members. We can come and celebrate your opening.
Yes, of course. Thank you. I will let you guys all know.
Thank you very much. Have a nice
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is another site plan waiver. It's basically for a front and back porch repair. It's located at 20 Valley View, which is in the SAS as well, the Scenic Area of Statewide Significance. However, this is not visible from the historic sites or the river in Ms. Moss, just as the last application has recommended a waiver of site plan review. I believe this is Vice Chair Dexter's resolution to introduce.
It is. Town of Hyde Park Planning Board, Rebecca Ryder, 20 Valley View Road, 6064-12-822-626, site plan waiver, Town Code Section 108-9.4C2. Resolution 2020-09, whereas, now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Hyde Park Planning Board hereby waives site plan requirements for the proposed changes as described in the building permit received by the Building Department June 1st, 2020, and per the request to the Planning Board dated December 29th, 2019.
Second, Chris Oliver.
Any further discussion or questions? Please indicate your approval by raising your hand with an aye.
And say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously. The last item on the agenda, we have a referral, local law B, which allows the town to distinguish between outdoor recreational uses and indoor recreational uses. Again, many months ago, there was a sort of a phone call, we'll call it, to Ms. Whitman to discuss where an auto parts dealer on 9G, someone was interested in coming in. The recreational use was not allowed in a neighborhood business district. And it sort of prompted a whole discussion about recreation and what the benefits of indoor versus outdoor and where they should be located. So I did not prepare any kind of letter for this because I was asked to provide my personal comments to it originally. So my sort of comments that I would have put in have already reflected in the changed law. So that's why I was going to ask each of you tonight to see if you had any comments about or direction as to what you'd have me, what you would like me to do. I did relate that the ZBA chair, Mr. Sweet, has issued some letters already or some comments to the town board indicating some dissatisfaction with it. He thinks it doesn't really comport with the comprehensive plan. That will be for the town board to go through and determine with its consultants. So let me start to my virtual right. Mr. Oliver, do you have any comments or anything you want to see?
I have no comments at this time. Thank you.
Vice Chair Dexter?
No, but I find it interesting and actually it heartens me that because we are supposed to be connecting our comprehensive plan with our zoning. So I'd actually be very interested because I read it and I mean, it read fine to me. I'd be interested to know where the perceived disconnect is.
I will be happy to forward Mr. Sweet's emails to you. How's that?
Or
And to the board, because I believe I've received at least 2. So I'll send those over to you. You can see. Continuing on, Ms. Wasser, any comments? I know you said you found 2 typos.
Yes, I'll send those to you. I have no further comment.
Mr. Pickett?
No comment other than I'd like to see the emails.
Thank you. I will. And Anne, any comments?
Nope, no comments.
So would you like me to wait to put this on the next meeting? We have time to discuss at the next meeting as well. That we'd have a chance to absorb Mr. Sweet's comments first.
yes,
Because it sounds like everybody would otherwise say, yeah, go ahead and tell them to adopt it. But
Right.
it'd be interesting to, I want you to read, because a lot of it is a matter of interpretation of the sections of the comprehensive plan that he's putting in. So, for example, he did mention, he cited at one point that it seemed incompatible with the uses that are encouraged in the landings, which are water enhanced and water dependent. And he cited, I believe, like maybe, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting, but two recreational uses that didn't sound right for that district. But the truth of it is we wouldn't allow those recreational uses. They would have to be water enhanced or water dependent to be in the landings, meaning say you have a shop that, you can rent skis and go skiing on the river. That's clearly an outdoor recreational use that would fit the purpose and intent of the landing. So it'd be up to the planning board, in other words, to weigh some of these. But I will forward those over to you, and we will just put this on for the July 1st meeting. And I believe that's it for the night. So making a motion to adjourn.
I'm working on it. Okay. The sun is in my eyes now. Sorry. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. And a second?
Brent Pickett, I'll second that.
And all those in favor, raise your hand and signify with a verbal aye.
Aye.
Aye. And before we go, Ms. Polidoro, is it important that we say aye, all of us? Is that it? For the record?
No, I do want everyone to state it. I'm not sure how it's showing up on YouTube. Sometimes there's just one face who's speaking, and I want to make sure that everyone is being recorded.
Thank
I
you.
can confirm that on all of the votes, I could see all of their faces and hear them and see their hands go up.
And I can also, I have mine in gallery, not speaker view, so I can see everybody, and that's why I keep saying the motion passes unanimously each time as well. But out of abundance of caution, we will make certain that everybody says aye, or I'll go back to calling the roll. I just thought it seemed easier this way.
Also, because we're making a transcript, and so for the purpose of the transcript, I'd like the voices,
Okie doke. Thank you. Thanks again, Councilman Krupnick and Supervisor Ward, for making you available to us to provide this meeting and resources. And otherwise, everyone have a nice night and a happy summer as of this Saturday.
You too.
Indeed. And Neil, I hope you take care of your neck. I don't know how you've kept your head still the whole time.